I'd like to start out by giving Mr. Tepper a thanks of gratitude on my part for giving me this opportunity to lead this franchise and this football team for the past 13 weeks. It's been a tremendous pleasure for me to work with those men in that locker room and to sort of help steer this organization in what I consider to be in the right direction, a positive finish on their part. And with that, I'll take your questions.
As I understand you're going to interview tomorrow. Can you talk about that and what your pitch will be?
Well, one thing, David, you'll find some consistency with me, and that is that I'm not going to express on anything beyond today, and really with the exit meeting with these players as we move forward. So I'm just going to keep that private.
What's the latest on the two starting guards and their injuries?
I won't know anything until the MRIs come back. I think for the most part it's nothing serious, I hope, but I don't want to confirm until I really know.
You just mentioned being able to lead this team at this time. As you begin to reflect, what will be the most significant moment for you having led these men right now?
I think there's several, but when you look at the process of what we've gone through, and as I mentioned to them, to deal with so many different it's, as you guys heard me before, we don't allow it to get in the way, and we had several this year, and to see how those guys are so resilient in their course of trying to, win football games and to stay focused and do the little things right, that's going to be what I remember.
Steve, you never want to make it about yourself, which I respect, but I just want to maybe try one more time, not knowing what the future holds. If you would take this time to maybe reflect on what it means to you to be in this position, coming from Charlotte, representing West Charlotte, if you would maybe indulge us with that at this point.
I'm going to keep it with the players. I respect those guys so much that I think they deserve all the credit, and just their point of being resilient, just their quest of trying to do the things that I ask them to do each and every day, which really is the act of a champion. Be where your feet are. Let's just win the day. And all those things that we try to create and establish within a 13-week culture, it happened. And we saw a lot of benefits from that. So I give those guys all the credit in how they responded.
Speaking of the players, you clearly are control what you can control guy, but the players have been very vocal about wanting you to lead them into the future. How does that make you feel, knowing that they have been unshy about their endorsement for you?
Well, we have a great level of respect for one another. As you've always heard me talk about my love for them and how they go about their work and their business. And as you just mentioned, we're going to control what we can control and, allow the process to, take care of itself.
Steve, I've asked you this before, and you've always said you're going to focus on winning the day. Now, if there aren't any days to win, so to speak, with the season over, do you feel like you've done enough to be the head coach here next year?
Why do you feel there's no days to win?
Well, being the season's over.
Oh, but there's still days to win, and we're going to start with trying to finish and win this day, and making sure we're sending the guys out with the right message, which is making sure that they take care of themselves during the off season, and so that's where the focus is going to stay.
Well, do you feel like you've done enough to keep the job done?
Well, again, that's not my call. I can't say.
Coach, if this is indeed your last time addressing Charlotte media as the head coach of the Panthers, what, if any, message would you like to send to the fans?
Well, I think the message was very relevant from the day I stood in front of you guys, and I said, in order for us to be able to try to accomplish what we need to accomplish, we need to go back to our old mantra, which is keep pounding. And I think that's what you saw those guys do. They kept pounding throughout the process. And, when Sam Mills gave us that phrase, those words, they still resonate. And that's what we're all about. And that's what you saw those guys do. We kept pounding to the end. We won our last game on the road, and we won our last game at home. So that's a lot to build on. when you look at really what we've done in the past. So, I told those guys, particularly the core guys, you guys got a lot to build on going into the offseason.
Steve, after your experience in Arizona, how important was this opportunity for you to lead a group of men again, as you said? And do you feel like if this is it, you will have put your best foot forward?
I can't really speculate for everybody else's opinion. I just try to control my own narrative. It's a great opportunity for me, having this chance to be able to lead this organization and this team, as you alluded to about Arizona. I learned so much from that experience, which allowed me to be able to do the things that I did here within this short period of time. And that's making sure that there was clean, concise clarity in everything that we're doing from day one. And being able to hold everybody accountable for their actions and making sure everybody had a great level of commitment, and we built that trust throughout the process. So, making tough decisions as you do in this position for, talking about coaches changes, player changes, guys leaving. They're all tough decisions, but you make those decisions for the betterment of the team. And that's what I was able to do throughout this process.
You said you learned from that experience. So what did you take from that that's made you a better coach this time around?
I think number one is just communication, and guys being on the same page, having a staff that's going in the same direction. It was very important for me when I got rid of coaches and making the change. I wasn't quick to bring guys in because I believe it's so important to have the right fit. So the defensive coach did a tremendous job in their quest to try to keep things together, because we were several guys down on that side of the ball, and those guys stepped up and did a tremendous job. So I wanted to make sure that, again, we had the right people at the right position.
Steve, the team presented you with a game ball yesterday. Considering how this 12-13 week journey unfolded, what will you remember about that gesture and what it meant?
Well, it meant that we were all in it together, and that we had a great level of respect for one another. So, just as I presented to Eddie as well, I think, again, you just that level of commitment to try to be excellent. And I truly appreciate, the love that I have from those guys, which I know they do for me as well. And so it's been great.
Steve, when you reflect back over the 13 weeks, is there one week or one game you're most proud of, or you think speaks to what you were trying to accomplish?
There's so many. I think the first one was winning at home, which, at that particular time, I think it was, I don't want to give false numbers, but it had been a long period of time since we had won at home. And to be able to do that in front of our fans and try to, bring the excitement back at Bank of America Stadium, that was very glorifying. And to do it against a guy that many consider to be the best at that position. And when you look at our DNA, as I talk about all the time, just element of finishing, for us to be able to finish that last game the way we did yesterday, I thought was very impressive, because it took everybody in all three phases to get it done. And we did something that we haven't done, winning 2 in a row, and we talked about that, leading here with Denver and going to Seattle, going against a hostile crowd, 12th man, etc. So there's several examples, man, where those guys in that locker room really stood up and got the job done.
Expanding on the second part of Joe's question, do you feel any sort of kind of peace or satisfaction that you did, no matter what happens, that you did kind of put everything out there that you wanted to put forward as this is who I am as a head coach this season?
Yeah, I've always felt that peace, because I'm very confident in who I am. I know whose I am and who's in total control, so I never waver from that. But it's nothing that I ask the players that I'm not willing to do myself. And so I'm always trying to be accountable, great level of commitment, trying to build that trust. So no, I'm completely satisfied with the job that we did.
Steve, as you look back over the season, how difficult was it to manage the quarterback situation, which is kind of been in flux really for a few years here, and how can you speak to how important it is to have solidify that position?
I think, and I said these words earlier, I think it's about communication, clear, concise clarity. That's what I gave those guys. So I didn't really go to talk to, PJ separate. I didn't go to Baker. I didn't go to Sam. We all sat down and we talked together as men do. And I gave them clarity on the direction in which we're going. Sometimes you don't like it, but they had a great level of respect when you can come to them directly and tell them this is what it's going to be this particular week. And when you look at, and I tell coaches this all the time, only so many guys can start, and you want those guys that are disappointed and upset that they're not on the field. But you got to be able to handle those difficult situations, and the only way you can do that is being truthful and up front with them.
Do you think that is important moving forward, is to solidify that position here?
There's several positions. When you talk about really trying to get to where we need to be, that we need to upgrade, so it's not just one, but there's several.
Steve, what's the collaboration been like with Scott throughout this entire process? I know we've asked you that before, but through this whole 13-week journey?
We had good communication. We had great dialogue and talking about the roster and the things that we need to do to try to upgrade it in the present. So I think that's really has been the difference, in my opinion, as we talk about, being on the same page, moving forward, and understanding it's all about the team, not about me nor himself.
Steve, you're kind of in this position where you're kind of like a restricted free agent, right? Where you're interviewing, but you also have the ability to potentially interview elsewhere. How much does that kind of play into your kind of attack of this offseason? I know you don't want to talk about the offseason, but just that's generally what the situation is.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see exactly what the future holds. Again, it's a process that we have to go through, and you're right, there may be other things, but right now I'm just trying to stay focused and see exactly what comes.
There are a lot of eyes, though, because of the minority, the league's poor record with hiring minority coaches. So a lot of eyes are on this situation because a lot of people feel like you've proven you deserve the shot or deserve the job. So how do you look at that and view yourself in playing a role in helping minority coaches moving forward?
I hope I play a role helping all coaches and not just minority coaches. And in the way I lead and the way my players play and the way we go about our day-to-day operation and doing it with respect, integrity, all the things that you equate to being a good coach. So I hope I'm more perceived as a good coach and not just a minority coach. I don't really try to get into, again, things that I can't control about, who they're going to hire. I just think, given an opportunity to be able to showcase your talent and then let the chips fall where they may.
Do you have other coaches, have other teams asked to interview you?
Again, I'm not going to, go into any details right there in regards to the future.
Steve, if I can ask you just two quick things. One is, in that 13 weeks, do you have any regrets as to anything you did or the results that happened?
Okay. You gonna want me to
That's
answer
the
the
first
first
one,
Want me to
yeah.
answer the first one? Okay. So I would say no, because as I look out here and I expand my vision, and I see all of you guys, let's just call a spade, right? None of you guys expected us to even be in this situation. So to be able to take a 1-4 team and to be able to, get to the doorstep of possibly winning this division and going to the playoffs, I have no regrets whatsoever, and to create an identity, to breathe some life back into this football team and the respect within this organization that we started to receive throughout the league of the identity that we created. We set franchise records for rushing and total yards. We went on the road and won big football games that no one gave us a chance to win in Seattle. So, no, I don't have any regrets.
And
given all that, the second part is, so when Mr. Tepper fired Matt Rule, he said, will Steve Wilks have a shot at this job? And he said if he does an incredible job, he will. Incredible was the word he used. So I just want to ask you, do you think you did an incredible job?
I think that's someone's opinion of what they consider to be incredible. What I consider to be incredible, the things that I do around the house, my wife doesn't see it that way. So it just depends on how you perceive what's incredible. So I'll let him determine that factor.
We've heard from several players what it's meant having you as a head coach, which appears to go beyond the football side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie Luvu mentioned you're like a father. We heard Brian Burns say today, I'll fight for Wilks. What have they given you?
Oh man, they given me their all, and how they work, how they go about their business, their great level of commitment. The one thing that I like, and I told these guys when I first took over, and I know it's a cliche that I talk about all the time, but just act like a champion for me. All right, be accountable. All right, every day that you walk in this building, man, show me a great level of commitment. And I know you guys can't see it right now. We're sitting here, we're 1-4, we're 1-5, but trust the process. Trust me in what I'm trying to get done, and they believed in that, and I appreciate them for that. So I never questioned. I told these guys this past week. I never questioned how we went about our business each and every day. These guys work hard every day, And what I talked about is excellent preparation. Now let's make sure this leads to game day execution, and that's what we have to do. And that's what we always talked about finishing. So, everybody talked about the game yesterday. You want to, criticize and point out different things. Quarterback rating. We couldn't pass the ball. Defense got the first drive. And they scored. Well, I can go back and pull those certain things out I just talked about. Anybody has Aaron Rodgers' number, give him a call today and say, would he take this win over a quarterback rating? And I guarantee you, say he'll take the win. So let's quit worrying about the numbers. And until they change the outcome of what a win is, which I thought and still perceive to be having more points in the end as your opponent, that's what a win is, right? So other than that, it's not an ugly win. So again, we're not going to sit here and take what I feel like those guys accomplished. No, they played their butts off yesterday.
That game kind of symbolized what this entire season kind of was, right? Like it started off, kind of from behind, and then kind of had a rocky start, and then you guys ended up pouring it out at the end. I was just curious, have you been able to reflect on this journey at all through that experience of this last game?
Well, yes and no. And I looked at it as I told those guys, it's like we have been to the point where we played 3.5 great quarters. You've seen that a lot of times in games, particularly going back with the Tampa game. And this was just like totally opposite to where 3.5 quarters we really didn't perfect our craft and doing the things that we needed to do. But all of a sudden in the fourth quarter we came together. And to me, that's what it's all about. That element of finishing in all three phases. We talked last week, many of you in this room, about CJ and was he loafing on that one particular play, and whatnot. But no one has yet to talk about when he missed the tackle yesterday, got up off the ground, sprinted and tackled the guy and punched the ball out from behind and took 3 points off the board. Okay, that's what we're talking about for is evolving. And man, no. It's just those guys fought their tails off yesterday.
Hey, we'll do a couple more.
Kind of piggybacking off of Deshaun's question, since you've been here, I've heard the phrase leader among men when describing you. What does that mean to you? What does that phrase mean to you?
It's hard for me to really determine because you hear it so many times and sometimes loosely, but I try to tell people I'm a leader of people. When you look at this organization, because what people fail to realize, a head coach, he doesn't only inspire the team. It's a whole organization. and you set the tone for how everybody in this building thinks. And I think within the last 13 weeks, you have seen the morale in this organization go up, you know, and that starts with the mentality that we create each and every day. So, leader of men, I don't know. I just consider myself a leader in general.
How are you able to stay in the moment and not just think beyond, the 13 weeks? How are you able to stay each week focused on just the task at hand and not think about trying to prove a point and think about the future?
I think it's very simple, man. And we had this saying when I was here before: just be where your feet are. You know, when I was coaching at Johnson C. Smith, I came up with a phrase: "Be big time where you are." And you talk to a lot of coaches, a lot of young coaches. You know, they want to evolve, they want to move up, and you get the same thing in corporate America. All right, just take care of what's in front of you. You know, be where your feet are. Be big time here. All right, and then when you show yourself worthy and improved, hopefully opportunities will come. So I just stay in the moment because that's what I've always been taught to do.
What does the rest of this week look like for you? Like, presumably you're interviewing tomorrow, but then what about Wednesday?
It never fails. I told you guys this the other day, okay? All right. Joe always tries to come back and reword the question because he's trying to get me to say something. Hey, I'm staying in the moment, Joe. I'm staying in the moment. So we'll see exactly what happens. Hopefully my wife and I will be able to get away for a little bit and spend some time. And other than that, that's it.
Coach, we'll do this one, and who else had a question? These two.
Coach, not Panther related, but JJ walked off yesterday and retired. Just your thoughts on him as a player and what he meant to this league.
You know, I didn't have the opportunity of coaching him, but I still consider him to be like a pillar of the NFL. Just his things that he does outside of football with his charities. You know, I put him in the frame of another guy, several guys that I've coached, but I'm just thinking about Arizona because I was out there, Larry Fitzgerald. You know, those guys that are so involved in their community and doing things beyond the game. You know, you look here at Thomas Davis. So great player, but he's going to definitely be remembered just beyond his play on the field. First ballot Hall of Famer for sure.
We'll do Kelly and Mike.
We talked about having the support of the players in the locker room. What's it been like? Have you felt the support in the community? Because there's a lot of people that support you here in Charlotte.
You know, I don't get out much, but I do hear it from friends, from family members. Wife and I did go out the other night, and you know, of course, people come up to the table and express, you know, PSL owners how appreciative they are. So it means a lot.
All right, everybody good? Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.